Hello, how's everybody? This one is going to be on the on how I feel strongly and how I researched and what I went through as far as being a Jehovah Witness and how their organization teaches you to be wicked. I know it's kind of like a real strange type of conclusion, but it is true. I mean, a lot of the sad thing is that a lot of people don't let you realize, they don't realize that they're being taught to actually be wicked. Like, for instance, a lot of people, just as far as history is concerned, a lot of people teach people a lot of things so that they hurt other people. Like, for instance, like, I'm sorry, I have to talk about this, but like, for instance, like the black slaves, or even after they were freed, they taught the people how to be wicked. How to not treat people like people. And I had to put that in because I wanted to show you what wicked was. And now, as far as going back, as far as it being a Jehovah Witness, a lot of the Jehovah Witnesses don't know that they're being taught this way. It's hard to structure it because it's not a structure. When you're being wicked to somebody or being mean to somebody, you don't actually have like a structure. And I know there's things that happen to people. It happens to everybody. And everybody has been probably prejudiced against in some shape, fashion, or form. And when it happened to you, it doesn't have to just be with color. It could be with anything. Um, so when it happens to you, there's no structure. It's like you don't even know what to say. You don't even know what to do. You can't even explain it. They have a lot of things on TV, like for instance, people win this this court case and that court case, but it's not really in the real world, you know. I mean, a lot of people, even with me, a lot of people say, "Why don't you fight for this or why don't you fight for that?" But and a lot of times that's just on TV, and it's not really true. It doesn't really happen. Okay, so it's not really a structure most of the time. Believe me, I had some things happen to me that a lot of people say you should do this and you should do that, but it's not real life. Okay, I mean, they put things on TV and on the news and stuff, like they won these big battles and stuff like that, but some things are very individual. Like, for instance, what I'm talking about is Jehovah Witnesses. It's a fight for the ex-Jehovah Witnesses, but it's really hard because it's not really it's not something structured to happen to you, and it's something that is not really recognized. And one of my listeners told me a lot about this, about how they're trying to, in different instances, to get the things that happen to the ex Jehovah Witnesses and that are happening to the Jehovah Witnesses that they don't know, to do something about it, which is very good. So this one is not really gonna. I couldn't really find a big structure for it because because it's not structured. The things that they do are not structured. Like, for instance, now getting back to being wicked, it's just like the way their Bible came about. It was wicked. You know what I mean? I mean, they didn't go to where everybody makes the Bibles and try and get the best Bible and try and get the best translation. No, what they wanted to do is they wanted to control people the way they wanted to control people, and a lot of times it was done just to hurt people. And there are a lot of people who that's what they do. They just really want to mess up things and hurt people, and that's a lot of, or just make money. That's usually in it a lot. But as far as the intention, that's what the intention, because the intentions are so vague, and not so, I can't say vague, but are so wrong and so um, non existent. What I'm trying to say is not, it's not normal. It's hard for people to speak about it. But the ex-Jehovah Witnesses are doing a very good job. So, like for instance, like I was telling you, one thing that makes it wicked is the way that they came about with their Bible. It was not. Everybody takes things for granted. Okay, like when we meet each other, this should happen, that should happen. It's in our conscience. It's what we expect from people. Here, what they're taught is they do things that are not that knowing that people expect a certain thing and they go against the expectations. I mentioned some things, like for instance, and it was hard for me to structure it. Like I said, like I wanted to say, for instance, start out with the things that happen to you when you're a child. The things that happen as far as one thing or this thing or that thing is not relevant. What's relevant is the fact that they're all together. I mean, there's little things, like for instance, not saluting the flag. To me, that's one of the things. I know there's several cases, 'cause I looked it up, to where people don't believe that they should salute the flag. Okay, which is no big deal. That's isolated cases. But I'm talking about as a whole, as a people, when you want to just show respect for where you live, and that's it. But the Jehovah Witnesses do it as a disrespect because there's no reason why. I mean, they don't really have a reason why for you not to say, the allegiance. And it's not a big deal. I'm not saying, I'm just saying collectively, these things that I've mentioned make it's wicked. Like I just told you, the Bible, the way they did their Bible, and then they added things, and the way that Bible came about, and making the Bible, instead of saying Bible is scriptures. I mean, that's kind of a wicked thing, okay? But when you have something wicked, it's not just one thing, it's a collective thing, and you can't really pinpoint. But that's just one of the things. Now I mentioned two. I mentioned the Bible, then the allegiance to the flag. I mean, when I was growing up, and I went to school, of course my parents told me, because I was Jehovah Witness, do not salute the flag. I didn't know why. Okay, because you're a Jehovah Witness. Okay, that's just one thing. But I had to, stand up and see all my other classmates salute the flag, and I felt it. Okay, that's just one thing, but that did something to me. That's just one thing. And then not just that, but then when they had their any kind of party, I had to sit outside and just numb myself. And when a lot of my friends or people who liked me wanted me to be in the party, even the teachers would even want me to be in the party. I even think we had a Valentine's Day party that I couldn't go to. Wait. But that's kind of like a wicked thing to do, okay? But it's just one thing, okay? I know a lot of people don't believe in saluting the flag, but can you imagine if nobody did it? But think about it, because I study a lot and I understand a lot. Think about it, if there was no flag, and if there was nobody who saluted the flag, and nobody who gave any national anthems or anything, okay? Just think about that. That's a thin line. I'm telling you, now we're getting so close to what we want, is that we have to really look at these thin lines, okay? So, then we couldn't have any respect for the flag. We couldn't have a flag. We couldn't think about the flag. So that's another thing. Okay, so now we have that. And we also have and think about the things that we have in our personality. Not just in our personality, but in our how can I say? this, we have a personality in our minds. We have things that we have to do, things that we have to fulfill in ourselves, okay? Like, for instance, what I'm trying to say right now is a lot of things that when you become a Jehovah Witness, you can't do. Like, for instance, someone says hachu, and you can't, and you don't say, oh, God bless you, or, something like that, you know what I mean? I mean, when you think about the feeling that you have when you can't say it, okay? That's just another little thing, okay? Because, like, when you become an ex-Jehovah Witness, when I became ex-Jehovah Witness, I couldn't wait until someone sneezed so I could say, God bless you. And it was hard for me to say God bless you. And I looked up God bless you, and it doesn't really mean anything. The only thing it means, and I said this before, the only thing it means is just something really nice to say. But what I'm saying is a kind of wickedness to add another thing to where you feel like you want to do something or you want to say something, but you don't. For no reason. For no reason. So those are things that I'm talking about. And it seems like it's nothing. But if you were ex-Jehovah Witness, you could pretty much understand because they all add up. Not just that, using, and these are all the things that we went over in this Excel program, and this is just progressing the thoughts, the things that are coming together now. And what I've come up with is, like I said, it's come up to where I see that we were taught to be wicked. So that's another thing I wanted to put together. Now, look at it from how is it being wicked? What I'm trying to say is, like, what everybody else is doing. We all live together in this world. And it's not like keeping up with the Joneses. It's like just giving everyone a chance to enjoy their life, okay? Even if it's just a smile or something like that. And that goes to another thing, and I told you this is not structured, but you're going to see how things are going to clear up as I go along with this lecture on, or this conversation on being wicked. So where was I going now? Now I wanted to stress another point. I'm going to keep going with this. This is pretty difficult for me to do. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, this thing is so loud. I can't even talk now. Okay, so anyway, we talked about being the collective things that they were, what I was saying, okay? So you have you can't salute the flag. You can't say God bless you. You can't, when somebody sneezes, you can't say God bless you, okay? The big point is how do you feel about that? When you don't do those things, how do you feel? What's happening to you, okay? Then we have the birthdays. We have any kind of birthday. Birthday, even Thanksgiving that I couldn't, not Thanksgiving, but Valentine's Day, like I told you, okay? So we have those things. And then you're taught you have to watch Sharon Awake, okay? When I was very young, I was taught to do a watch Sharon Awake for 10 cents or whatever. So you have your literature. And out of all these things, nothing is ever taught about the person, the other people, not caring about the other people, okay? Like, for instance, when I said salute the flag, why do we salute the flag? And that's just one thing I'm saying. I understand that some people disagree with saluting the flag, but it does show a respect because There's other people behind it. There's other students in class. You understand? And the parties, okay, like when you have a party and you have to sit outside, okay, there's other people. There's students who are who want you to enjoy the party, who want to enjoy your company, but you're cutting yourself off from those people, and you don't even realize that you're you're actually cutting a part of your personality. You're cutting a part of your personality out because you're not using it. Like, for instance, okay, and I'm using the flag, but I know a lot of people don't believe that that's important. But I'm just using it as one of the examples, okay? Because I went through it and I was there, and you're standing up and your classmates are saluting the flag. And you have that feeling right there that you have is something that wants to be satisfied, something that exists in you, but you can't use it, okay? But if it was explained all right, it would be better. Then it would it would allow you to understand that there's that feeling there, and because of this, because of that, you don't salute the flag. But it wasn't the case. It was just like, no, you can't do it. The same thing like when you're sitting outside and the students having a party and you're just there, okay, and you're not enjoying yourself, you're not enjoying your friends, okay, you don't see there's some part of your personality that's being kept from you, okay, some part. So that's just another little part, okay? And, okay, so I mentioned the Hatchu and the God bless you, okay? And there it goes again. And somebody sneezes, and I know everybody doesn't do it anyway, not care or whatever, but as Jehovah Witnesses, it's a big deal. And they sneeze, and you go, and you're Jehovah Witness, and you can't say it. There's that thing right there, okay? There's that feeling that connects you to somebody else, but you can't develop it, okay? So that's another time you can't develop it. So all these little things, and like the Watchtower and the Wake, okay? You go. That's what I was taught. You have the Watchtower and the Wake for 10 cents, and that's it, okay? There was nothing ever to tell you, okay, you're going to be talking to people, and you want these people to be helped, okay? No, it wasn't that. It was just the Watchtower and the Wake, okay? So you lose something, and all these things are wicked, because all these times you can explain to you. I could have been explained that there's people that are going to buy this, that's supposed to benefit from the Watchtower and the Wake. But no, it wasn't that way. It was just like, a contribution of 10 cents. The Watchtower and the Wake. And that was the important thing. Not to what that you were going to talk to somebody. So what I'm trying to say is that part of your personality, that you were going out in service to talk to people, to listening to people, okay? It was never about listening to anybody. It was never about hearing what somebody had to say. It was just about the Watchtower and the Wake. It's a way to teach someone not to be like, how can I say, to have empathy for somebody, okay? Because you just want to give this Watchtower and the Wake, and I did that, and I went from door to door, and I said I will Watchtower and the Wake for 10 cents, and that's all I That's all I knew. It wasn't even that I was talking to somebody. You know what I mean? And so that's another thing. So now I'm going to talk about the empathy, okay? Because of all those things, okay, I gotta also add, which I talked about before a lot, is is there's one point. It keeps dropping my mind, but it's very important. It keeps dropping my mind, but it's very important. I talked about it before. Maybe I'm gonna get to it. So I'm talking about empathy now, okay? Somehow, with all those little things, the ones I talked to you about, or the way they did it, and which is hard to explain, you come up with this person who doesn't have any empathy. Okay? Like when I explained, I don't know if I explained this, because I was doing this tape and it was so difficult that I had to cut it off. It's the first time I ever had to cut something off and do it back over again. Not the first time, but very few times. I usually keep it. So now the empathy, how come they don't have any empathy? Okay? It's very difficult for me to explain why, because it's so, like I said, it's so broken up in all those little things. The reason why, okay, like I worked in this restaurant and it was like in Denver, okay, and there was these people who came in and it was just something so weird about them. I mean, you know how someone sits next to you or whatever, or somebody sits in a restaurant and you can feel some kind of vibe from them. There was no vibes that I could feel from these people. And I found that they were Jehovah Witnesses because they're taught they're the only ones that's going to be saved. So if you're taught that way, you're not going to develop, and all those things I'm telling you about, you don't develop this connection with other human beings. And that is wicked. That's teaching someone to be wicked without them knowing that they're actually learning to be wicked. Okay. How is it done? It's like I said, it's all the things that I've taught. Okay, this is the point I wanted to bring, and it keeps slipping my mind, and it slipped again. It keeps slipping my mind, but I'm gonna get it one sooner or later. So all those things that we talked about in the Access program, because they're all broken up, if you add them all together, it's gonna make a person that is not empathetic, does not feel what other people feel. Okay, because another thing is too, you just talk to the people in your organization. You're not taught to listen to other people. You're not taught to learn from other people. You're not taught to learn other people. I still don't even understand why I knew as a Jehovah Witness not to question. That's another thing. How is it that we knew not to question? Okay, because it's pretty much an evil organization, and they train their people in collectively and all those things. And the one thing I keep the point keeps coming up in my mind and leaving is the words like lucky and magical. Okay, that's another thing. Lucky and magical. Okay, things that connect people with other people, like that's lucky. You know what I mean? And it seems like something really stupid and something very little, but it's pretty big. Okay, because that, think about the word luck. It's just like something to have fun or something like that. It doesn't mean anything, okay? But that's cut. That's another little thing that's cut. A piece of joy. Magical. And I'm going to tell you something. The more I learn, and you see the things I learned on this station, the more magical life is. Even when I'm speaking to you, it's so magical. But they can't, that's a thing that's cut away from them. And now I think I'm seeing how the structure of what I'm talking about is coming through. Because, like, for instance, that's what I'm saying, like, for instance, like magical, okay? And because they say all occurrences of magical is out, okay? But that's a part of a personality. Someone sitting next to you and you feel you feel something about them and you just want to talk to them, that's magical, okay? To me, I can describe it like that. It doesn't even have to be magic or anything, but it's something that's cut away from them, so it makes them into some kind of wicked person, okay? Not in the weird thing about it is not an intentional weirdness. I mean, wickedness. It's because it's being taught, and I know that because like the way my sister and my family talk to any Jehovah Witnesses, I can tell that they're wicked. I mean, they're taught to be wicked without them intentionally being wicked. And that's pretty much a pretty sick thing that an organization can do, because you're supposed to trust these people with something, and instead they're teaching you a way that's really not good for relationships with other people. And then not just that, but they teach you, okay, like other things is like not to associate with other people when you go to work, when you want to find somebody as far as a mate or something like that, or Christmas or parties and things like that, or going out with people at work, all those things like that that connects you with yourself and connects you with other people is another thing that's cut away from you. So that's another thing that adds to this wickedness that they actually become. What does this wickedness do that I'm telling you about? You cannot hear. You cannot. You cannot hear certain things. You cannot see certain things. Oh, and I wanted to talk about the World Trade Center. I was in New York when the World Trade Center happened, and I saw a magazine. I know exactly where I was working. I was working for this guy. I really didn't. It was terrible where I was working. But they had a magazine in one of his apartments that he owned, and I looked at it, and I saw this. The Watchtower or the Wake were talking about the World Trade Center, but I could see, because I was a Jehovah Witness once, and I could see where they made them do something about the World Trade Center, and they did not really want to do it, but they had to do it, okay? And I saw that. I know they didn't see it, or a lot of people didn't see it, but they had to do something to help people during the World Trade Center. But as far as I was taught, that would have been something that would have been like great, you know. And they, like I said, they're liars because they had to help them. They had to be patriotic at that point in time. So their thing about the flag and stuff like that wasn't true, because they could not, at that point in time, they had to deliver some being patriotic at that time. And I read it and I knew that they were lying in the magazine about what they did. They didn't do what they did. They didn't help from their hearts. They helped because they had to at that point in time. But like I was saying, they made it into a wicked people, because if I was a Jehovah Witness, I would think that it's close to Armageddon, and I would think that like the things like the World Trade Center and stuff like that, it's against the Jehovah Witness. You know, if something happened to not just the World Trade Center, but if something happened to the United Nations, they would be happy, and that's wicked. You know, and actually them saying that they're Jehovah Witnesses and that people and that they're the chosen one and everything, it's not. I mean, that's wicked also, because it goes against everything. Like, for instance, the Virgin Mary, the disciples, their friends and their family actually made the foundation of of Christians nowadays, because in the beginning it was all Jewish. Mary and her friends, the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, his family and friends, they didn't. They threw away their being Jewish and they became Christians. So you're saying that the people, all their family members, which is a lot nowadays. I mean, they had children and they only were able to marry Christians. And these are the people that make up us nowadays. Okay, they mix their blood with everybody else on that's existing nowadays as Christians, and they're going to come up and say that they're the Jehovah Witnesses. They're the ones that's going to make it, and that's not showing respect, and that's wicked because, like I said, all those first century Christians we're descendants of the first century Christians. So how in the world is that showing any kind of respect for them? And they're in the Bible. So that's another thing. But those are the things that they realize who actually made their rules and everything, and it's demonic. I mean, there's no way in the world that they could come up with all of those wicked things if it wasn't for some wicked spirits. And I even hate to talk about the deceiver himself because I don't even want anything to do with them. But I'm saying where they're taught has to be from there because a human being cannot learn all those wicked things, And then, like, now I'm talking about the ex-Jehovah Witnesses. I mean, this is really deep because my mother, like for instance, my mother, the way she was treated her last years, there was no Jehovah Witnesses around her. There was no Jehovah Witnesses around her saying, "Oh, you did very great," and this and that. I don't even think there were family members. My sister only told me it was her and most likely someone, how can I say, a hospice. And hospice are usually Catholic, okay? And I'm almost sure she prayed for her. But that's all that was with my mother. After all that service to the Jehovah Witnesses, she ended up with just my sister and a hospice who was most likely Catholic. And that's wicked. Out of serving the Jehovah Witnesses for all that time and to end up like she did, and for 3 years she could have saw everybody in her family, but they did not allow her. I didn't even know she was sick. I didn't even know that she was dying until after she died. That's to me is very highly wicked. But did my sister do it on purpose? No, she didn't do it on purpose. It was what she was taught to be wicked. To let her sit there 3 years without everybody in her family coming to visit her. 3 years would give me a long time. Even if I could save it. If I couldn't make it there, I could make it there the next month or the next month. But she was not given that. And to me, because I follow everything, when she made it to heaven, everybody knows about their parents making it to heaven. You know about it. You know when they hit the other side. Because God helps you to feel your mother or your father. Because I felt my father when he died. And I didn't even like him when he was alive. And I felt her. And I was the only one that could feel her, most likely, because they're Jehovah Witnesses. They're not, even if my mother came up to them and said, and they couldn't feel her. Somebody who can't feel somebody who loves you, that's wicked. Like, for instance, how is my mother after she passed away and went to heaven? How is she going to relate to them? It's impossible. They're like a brick wall. And you got to think about how sad she would be in actual heaven, knowing that any of her children is not going to even be able to talk to her. So this is the topic I'm talking about. And like I said, they can't hear and they can't see certain things. So anything to do with humanity, anything to do with like loving kindness, as far as the human loving kindness of each other, is all cut from them. So this is as far as I'm going to go because it's like 34 minutes. I hope everybody got the gist of this, because now it's getting to a point to where we're really drawing near to what we want. I'm not saying what we want that will, how can I say, we really we're really understanding what's happened to us and what we want as ex-Jehovah Witnesses, and how what has happened to us, you know. And that's what we're coming to the point of seeing. So I hope we continue this. This one is difficult, and it's more difficult, but the nice thing about it is that now I can see, and I can see from other ex-Jehovah Witnesses, is that we're understanding what's happening more now than we ever have. And I can only say it's because of God, because it's not really our work. I'm almost sure, like I said, the way they're being wicked, there's no way in the world they could do it alone. It has to be the deceiver himself. And the same thing I would say with us as far as doing something good. Anything good like this is going in this organized and this beautiful. It has to be coming from God, and which is in no way, which is, the power is so strong that it can't even compete with their organization. So that means that, I mean, if God is on our side, well, I know we're going to win. It's what we want to win. So anyway, I hope everybody enjoyed this, and it was really powerful, but it was, like I said, it couldn't be structured because the things that happened to us, things that happened, or not just happened to us, but are happening in their organization, their satanic organization. I'm sorry I had to say that. Um, the things that are happening there has to be exposed, and the only way they're going to do it has to be from people who actually have been in it, and people who actually have empathy about people who are in it and who were in it. So thank you very much, and I just appreciate your how can I say, your support. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you next time on the next one. I'm still doing this one. I did this video because of the one that I'm actually working on, which is the personality. I'm not forgetting anything that I've done or I'm working on. It will get through. So thank you very much. I hope everybody's doing fine, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.